that.
So everybody does that. Everybody bangs the head to the free podcast music. Isn't that amazing?
I was about to say, is this your band? Like, did you record this in the 80s?
You know, we should come up with Diddy's in here recording. He's my social media manager. I have a social media manager. And it's funny because I'm thinking maybe we should just do our own DELO theme song. Not sure what it should. Like.
But sometimes those songs, those like free songs are like decent.
Yeah.
One time I was at a fundraiser with my wife she raises money for animals.
Yeah.
And it was at an arcade, and I was helping her set up, and there was nothing for me to do anymore. And the arcade game that I was sitting in front of was just playing this amazing song, and I was just like, man, I would like go to this concert.
This really arcade concert. All the animals are dancing. Yeah. Well, hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. We kind of started this off in a tangent, but this is on the DELO. I am the DELO, your host, and I have a friend of mine. Actually, everybody that comes on is a friend, but this is a special friend of mine. And you can listen to other podcasts that I've taken, Thomas, and realize that you are a special friend.
Okay.
So
I feel very special.
You should feel special. I don't know what that means. But Thomas Barr, we've become friends over the years due to, I would say, localism.
Yeah.
Would that be a good term?
It's a good word to use.
Yeah, it is a good word.
Absolutely. And
speaking of localism, you are native, correct?
I am. Yep.
Yeah.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. And you got the same piece of paper I did from ASU.
I did. Yes. I didn't know you were going there so fast. We went from 0 to
100%. Yeah. We only got 30 minutes. I don't need to know.
I do have the piece of paper somewhere in a closet. Yeah.
Somewhere in the closet. How is that piece of paper treating you?
It's not bad. Some days it does a lot for me.
Yeah.
Some days not so much.
Not so much.
But
right.
Hey, it's all about the experience and the journey. Right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, let's go backwards a little bit. Growing up, what were some of your passions? What were some of the things that you were really into out here?
Well, I grew up in the West Valley, Glendale, Arizona. And, Glendale has always been a place that I always viewed as if you left that city, you had to really, figure out where you were going, what you were going to do with it. There were a lot of people that stayed there, and I had a lot of time, as we did back then, outdoors. So, we were always going to the park. We were always riding our bikes. We were always just figuring things out and going outside.
Yeah.
I was saying the other day, I was just like, man, if I had kids these days, I don't know that I'd just let them disappear for hours, right? It's so weird how things have changed. So we did a lot of exploring, a lot of just figuring out what was out there, right? And so by the time I got to high school, I was really into music. I loved exploring independent music. I listened to a lot of rock. I went to shows like in downtown Mesa.
Yeah.
The first show I ever went to is actually where our office is now, in Kimber Lanning's art gallery, which was Modified Arts, downtown Phoenix. My first show ever, 7th grade.
Wow.
And music, I feel, or the type of music I got into really drove my interest in, I guess, independence in general of that term, right?
Yeah.
And so I always connect that very much so to the work that I do now, because the work that I do now is helping independent businesses.
So 2 questions to that. When we go back to you playing as a child, because you're a little bit younger than me, did you have phones then?
No phones. No, I didn't.
Pager?
I didn't have phone. No, we never had pagers.
Oh, I had a pager.
I never had a pager.
Really?
Yeah, that was a thing. It was a short-term thing.
Was it? Okay.
Not my time though.
No. So did you have a dinner bell?
We didn't have a dinner bell. It was more so like when the streetlights come on kind of a thing back then.
Yeah.
Like you better be home. Yeah.
And your family environment, like dinner at home all the time? And
for the most part, yeah. I grew up in a big family. So 6 siblings, lots of cousins. So whether it was family gathering or just a weeknight, there was always kids around, things going on, a bike in the front yard kind of a thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
So back to music, like what were some of the local hangouts that you used to go to? Did you go to like Boston's, the Mason Jar and all those?
Yeah. Mason Jar, which is now Rebel Lounge.
Yeah.
Cool to see that transformation. I grew up going with siblings and cousins and things to just check things out, and then was really drawn to Tempe as a growing teenager, because I guess up until maybe 5 years ago, there was an abundance of independent music venues.
Oh, yeah.
Everything from Long Ones to the Clubhouse. We still have Yucca Tap Room.
Yep.
A lot of it has dissipated. And
Hollywood Alley.
Yeah. Oh, so much. And I mean, even like there was Club Rio where there were dance hall, but also like punk bands would come through and play there. So it was a lot in Tempe. So ultimately moved out there to go to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you one of those music people that will like act too cool to like AC/DC or the more mainstream shit?
I appreciate. My wife asked me this the other. She's like, I don't get the Taylor Swift thing, and I was like, I don't get it, but I respect it. I respect anybody that has a love for any type of music or art that just makes you happy. I think it's super cool.
I love that. That is a great way of stating it, because we all have different taste,
Absolutely,
and nobody's wrong.
Right.
What you like is what you like.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, all right, your title now is what? VP of
Business Development.
Business Development.
Yep.
What does that mean?
That means I help people on our team help businesses.
I like it.
At the end of the day. We are focused on building tools, resources, relationships, opportunities, every which way to help local businesses in Arizona, entrepreneurs, people with ideas to build wealth for themselves to be successful. So a lot of people may know how to navigate the system and access capital that they need, or already know all the people that will help them grow. But there's a lot of people out there that don't. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that start businesses out of a necessity to grow income really fast. And so the work I do is help fill in the gaps, go into communities and build trust in communities where businesses need more support, or people need more support, right? Because every small business is a person.
Yeah.
And give our team as much as they need to be successful in the work they do.
You're like the ultimate connector for local businesses.
I try to be.
Yeah.
I tried to, a long time ago, I went to a Diamondbacks game, and if you ever go to the D-backs games, which, it's been 22 years since we won a World Series. And
I was there, yeah.
You were there.
Well, not in the game. I was at the bar outside
Okay, that's not being there. That's on the outside.
It's close enough.
I was in my living room.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I remember that very well. But every employee wears something that says, find a way to say yes.
Yeah.
And I try to, it's really cheesy, but I try to take that mantra to the work we do.
That's pretty cool.
Anytime somebody reaches out, anytime anybody asks for anything, like, how can we say yes to this person? How can we find a resource? If we can't do it, do we know somebody that can?
Yeah.
How do we connect people?
Yeah, you guys are really good at that. Would you say the literature might be a little bit outdated? Would it be more than 3,000 businesses that are now members of LocalVerse?
Yeah, it's thousands and thousands of businesses we touch. So we just graduated. We have a program that helps businesses that prefer to speak Spanish, or that's their first language. We've graduated over 1,000 businesses through that program.
That's amazing.
And we have our membership program. We go out and we just provide workshops, technical assistance, and support for businesses all the time. So it's in the thousands, we can say that.
Yeah, for sure. And when you first started, there was 3 employees total?
I think there was 6.
6?
I think I replaced the second or third hire. I don't know. Do you remember Russ?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Russ moved away. Kimber hired me, about 6 or 7 of us. I think we just hired our 54th, something like that.
54th.
Something like that.
In what span of time did that happen?
Almost 10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Which, if you think 10 years, wow. But a lot of that growth actually sparked in the last several years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and I would assume there was a lot of people that needed help during, the COVID season. And then you grew even after that.
Well, Kimber started LocalVerse in 2003. So, I came in 2013, 10 years into the thing. And this is our 20th year being an organization.
Right.
There's a lot of work done over that time to build trust, build relationships, make connections, prove the concept and the importance of the work. So when you talk about the pandemic and crunch time, like the need to help, it was very much so like, well, we've built all the trust, we've built all the relationships. What we're doing is proven to work. So now we're seeing a lot of just people in general, and institutions and organizations and associations look at us and say, what you guys do really matters, but also it really does work. Like, how can we partner?
Right.
So we're seeing a lot of that now.
And based on looking at like all of the United States, how does Arizona compare on a local level, getting all the local businesses together compared to other states?
Well, Local First Arizona as an organization represents the largest local business coalition in the country, actually in North America.
Wow.
Arizona as a state, comparably to other states, we just say Arizona is a small business state.
Okay.
Small businesses make up something like 98.4% of all firms established in Arizona.
Wow.
They account for over half of our employment in Arizona.
Wow.
So the numbers speak for themselves. Yeah, absolutely.
And I know you've regurgitated this probably many a time. So $1 locally, how does that spread through the economy here?
Yeah. So the studies we looked at, there's several that say a little different things. The one that we stand firmly with is, we know for every $100 you spend at a local business, 45 stays right here in Arizona. Spend that same $100 at a national chain. So this would be like going to Press Coffee. $45 is going to stay here. If you go to Starbucks, only $13 is going to stay here.
Gotcha.
So it's about 3.5 times more of your money.
Yeah. And what you guys are doing is you're not poo-pooing other businesses, or you're not bad-mouthing anybody. You're just simply putting together facts and just showing that to people.
Absolutely. So it was funny today. We actually had, and we operate almost 4 community. We have our 4th community kitchen opening soon.
Yeah.
But we have 3 of them. At one of them in Mesa, we had a local school come out. We had 30 8th graders come out that were focused on community issues. And they found our website and they call us and they're just like, hey, we'd love to do a field trip. So we just kind of pulled some things together. We don't talk to kids every day.
Yeah.
Right? We're working with established businesses. So it's a little outside of our box, but I was like, this could be fun. So I pulled the team together. We did some presentations and things. And one girl asked, she was just like, do you work with businesses outside of Arizona? And it's so interesting to hear the perspective of children when it comes to our work, because we're usually talking to people in economic development and people that have established businesses like yours that have owned them for years.
Yeah.
And for kids to come up with interesting questions like that, it's so funny. But what I told them all is, we don't think those businesses are bad. Like it's just not our focus, right?
Right.
We know that businesses that are based here, the owner lives here, they do the majority of their business here. They've got a lot stacked against them. They've got all the marketing dollars being pushed for all these big companies, trying to get them in front of us instead of the local ones, right?
Yeah.
So our focus is just the ones that are here, the ones that are actually locally owned. And again, we're not saying the other ones are bad. We're just saying this is what's really important.
Yeah.
And we want to put a light on it, right?
So yeah, community kitchen. Wow, what an incredible job that whole thing has just transpired to be. You said now 4. I mean, that's...
Yeah, we'll be opening up our 4th soon.
That's amazing. Shout out to Gabe. Wow. And to watch a lot of and if people don't know, like a community kitchen is a place where smaller entrepreneurs can come in, set up shop and create, goodies and stuff like that under a, let's just say, legal environment, not cooking in their house or whatever, doing all that. And then they can go out to farmers markets and kind of develop their product and their business. And who knows, eventually that might turn into a restaurant or retail store, that sort of thing. But the fact that you guys have put something together on I would consider a very big scale to allow people to be able to do that. It's phenomenal. Yeah,
well, the market rate, I was talking to the team today, the market rate for community kitchen space in Greater Phoenix is something like $40 or $45 an hour.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just think about it. If you're somebody that has an idea for a concept, salsa, cookies, jam, jelly, whatever, tortillas, if you don't have the capital to pay, I mean, that's $45 an hour. If you don't have a lot of capital, like, how are you ever going to launch a business?
Yeah.
So our kitchens take an approachable manner to make it accessible and equitable. So it's a 2-year incubation program. You have to participate in training that we call the restaurant boot camp. So you get 6 weeks of training on how to scale your food business.
Amazing.
The first year you pay $8 an hour. The second year you pay $16 an hour. And then you have to leave in 2 years.
Yeah.
Because it's not meant to be a place that you just operate out of for long term.
Right.
It's an incubation. So we want you to build enough revenue in that 2-year time period where you go out, you launch that restaurant, you launch that food truck, you launch your catering business in a bigger commercial kitchen, because now you've gained enough traction that you're hiring people, right? You're doing more work than you could have done when you didn't have the capital before.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Well, let's talk about a few of the other things that Local First does. Let's talk, I mean, something that we'll talk about the obvious since we're into food. I mean, Devour. Yeah. That started how many years ago?
I think, I think it was 16 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
Sounds about right.
Did we ever celebrate 15 years?
I don't even remember.
I think we just celebrated 10 years.
Yeah.
And then we had the 11th, and then we had COVID, and then we just brought it back. So we did, I think we just did the 13th Devour, but it would have been 15.
Right.
If we didn't take off the time during the pandemic.
So tell everybody listening, what is Devour? What has it turned into?
So I'll tell the story of Devour by telling the story about how it started, or at least my version of it as I've heard it.
Yeah.
Back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, there was an article put out that talked very poorly about, and back then, I mean, Arizona was still the butt of jokes on the late night shows. Like, that's all we were known for, is just being not a cool place to live.
Yeah.
And there was a really poor article put out about our lack of good food. In general, talking about restaurants in the culinary scene.
Bastards.
And I want to say that our founder, Kimber, was somewhere. I'm not going to say where because I don't remember. Yeah. And I wasn't there. But Craig DeMarco from Postino walks in, throws the paper on the counter, and says, "What are we going to do about this?"
It sounds like Craig.
And Devour was born. And so Devour was originally a group of restaurants who pulled together their marketing, their resources, their time to elevate the food scene in Greater Phoenix, to make people know that we had good restaurants, good foods, good chefs. And through that, we launched the Devour Culinary Classic, which is New York Times ranked Best Regional Culinary Festival.
Wow.
We had New York Post out there this year, food bloggers. We had over 50 restaurants, 4,000 people over 2 days to literally experience the best of the best in Arizona restaurants. So we brought it back after the pandemic. Only positive feedback from everyone again. Desert Botanical Garden can't get more beautiful.
Yeah.
And amazing experience.
And it's now at the point where, kind of like if you build it, they will come. It's like pretty much sold out
Sold out in like 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah. Never happened before.
Yeah.
And I think it was just that bottleneck of the pandemic, people not going to an event like that for a long time. Yeah. And it was just like, boom.
Because you were doing delivery meals before.
We were doing like what we called Devour at Home, where we'd get the restaurants to do like to-go kind of stuff, and we'd theme it. But you can only do that for so long. People want to get out of their house. They want to experience things in person. It's just human nature.
They want to live.
Yeah. So bringing it back, we actually didn't know if it was ever going to come back because of the state of the world, but overwhelming demand from both the restaurants, the chefs, and then also the community. We said, let's do this. And it worked.
That's great. And so, okay, let's move from there to Fall Fest, because I know that's one that's dear to your heart. So explain Fall Fest and how that's come to fruition.
Yeah, so Fall Fest was started maybe 18. It was right after Local First started, so almost since our inception. Launched in a parking lot of Duck and Decanter, where they still are, 16th and Camelback.
Yeah.
Back then, it was maybe 20 vendors, a couple wineries with a couple bottles of wine.
Like a flea market.
Maybe, 300 people just getting together to celebrate local. And now it's the biggest free event in downtown Phoenix. So first Saturday of November every year. And, you know, you hear Fall Festival, you think, oh, that's cute.
Right.
But I'm just like, it's not cute. It's important. It's important that I see families riding the light rail for the first time to go to downtown Phoenix and push their strollers to Hans Park. Like, that was unimaginable growing up here, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you didn't take public transportation like that. It's important to me that we provide scholarships to low-income businesses to participate because they could never afford to shove out $500, $600 at some of these other markets to try to get their name out there, right? And so it's not just about having a fun day, even though we want it to be fun.
Right, yeah.
You come to this event to get to know the community, but it's about all the intricate things that are happening in the background. We diverted 1,700 pounds of waste from the landfill into composting.
That's amazing.
They're having a team of 100 volunteers directing people on where to put their waste throughout the day. So it's just all these cool things that we're doing within our events like that that really make a difference.
What do you feel as far as, Fall Fest go? What do you feel is like some of the biggest victories that you've seen as far as somebody, partaking in that and then moving forward?
Well, there's a woman who launched a soap company maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and she came to Local First when she only had 3 employees. Mm-hmm. And the Fall Festival was, I think, her first major event before she started doing farmers markets and things.
Yeah.
She found us. We established a relationship. We said, hey, you've got to do this event. This is perfect for you. People come to this event to find cool stuff.
Right.
You've got to get your soaps out there. This is like the perfect product, right? She goes, she has a great event that stays in touch with us, member Local First, this and that. Meanwhile, in the background, she's like one of the smartest entrepreneurs I've ever met. Today, she has a storefront on Mill Avenue in Tempe called Rosebuds and a manufacturing facility in Mesa. She has 80 employees.
Wow.
She is manufacturing soap and white labeling it. All these specialty soaps you see when you go to the store, when you see them on TV, they are literally manufacturing and producing that in Mesa, Arizona, and white labeling it for all these other companies. When you see another company say, hey, here's our specialty soap, it's not them making it. It's this woman, Joanna, who launched this small little company, and Fall Festival was her first event ever 7 years ago. So it's things like that.
That's cool.
Like that is jobs, that is tax revenue staying in our economy. That is the storytelling of what entrepreneurship can be.
And for you, it's got to feel good. It's kind of like like what I have in my office, your gold or platinum record that you put up there saying, this is cool. This was a time, back when they were starving artists and now succeeding.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. What's a good playlist for people that might be listening that don't even know about Local First? Believe it or not, there's people out there that don't even know what it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so what's a good playlist for them? Let's just say the average ordinary person that's like, wow, I had no idea that we could really be giving back to local economy by just going and eating at a local restaurant or shopping at a local soap place. Is there something that people like can keep in mind or look up or just try to understand a little bit better before spending their money somewhere?
Absolutely. And I love the way you presented that, because we actually say it every single day to ourselves. People will arrive every single day. We've been doing this for 20 years. Doesn't matter to some. There's a lot of people that have never, today for the first time ever, they're thinking, local? What is local? Right? Like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
So welcome to the conversation, right? Like, my door is open all day long.
Yeah.
I'm ready to have the conversation. So we want to encourage and excite. It's not about shaming, right? I don't want people to feel bad if they have to go to Walmart. Like, that's not why we're here. Shaming people is not a way to build community change. It's all about inspiring people to feel good about what they can do to make a difference, right? Like, we're all in this together. Like, if we don't think about how we can work together, then we're not going to have a community we want.
Right.
So we encourage people who are arriving right now. This is the first time you've ever thought about supporting a local business. Just think about all the things that you buy. Even if you have to go to a non-local store, does that non-local store carry local items? So, whatever grocery store you go to, do they have a local section? Do they have businesses that source local ingredients in the community? Are they sourcing from local farms? All these questions you can just be asking yourself all the time. Where do you deposit your money? Is it in a big bank far away, or can you look at a local bank or credit union? Where do you get your tires changed, your oil changed, your hair done? Restaurants, movie theaters. Yeah. I mean, make a list and it's going to be pretty built. But then we encourage people to think about just 10%. If right now you think that you might spend 20% of your money locally, go from 20 to 30.
Yeah.
Like, it's nearly impossible to do 100, right? Don't overwhelm yourself, and don't feel bad that you're doing only 20.
Right.
Feel good that maybe you can get from 20 to 30. Like, what's that 10% that you can grow? So.
Yeah. And isn't that differentiation like just the spice of life? Like, who wants to eat and shop and do all the same stuff? I mean, to a point, but to have some variety, I think would be fun.
Right. Yeah. The experience matters.
Yeah.
I always tell people, you go into a local shop, they're going to have stories to tell you. My wife and I just went down to Sonoyta Visited a few wineries. One of the wineries we looked up never been there before. Driving around, go to a place called Hannah's Hill Vineyard. We drive in. It's so windy, like we could barely walk. The lady comes out and greets us. We go inside. We're essentially in a garage, and we're just sitting in 2 chairs. She plops up, a plastic table, puts out some wine, and we're just sitting next to her parents.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what is this, right? Like,
experience.
I'm not going to get that anywhere else, right? And so that experience matters.
You bring up like another area of Arizona, so it's important for people to know that local isn't just Phoenix,
right?
Local is Flagstaff, Sedona, Sonoya, all these different places, and even like suburbs of suburbs where people can go and support.
So much to explore.
Have a getaway, yeah.
So much diversity in our state, and Arizonans spend about $6.5 billion vacationing in California every year. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we're ever going to replace the ocean or Disneyland.
Or the heat.
Yeah. But I mean, what if one of those vacations you went to a rural town and checked out the sites to see that are right here? Right?
Yeah.
That would make a big difference.
Got some history.
Yeah.
What do you see, or what are you hearing about the future growth of Arizona? What are some like key things that, have clicked into you that people may not be aware of, as far as growth?
Well, as far as growth goes, I'm not sure. I think that there's a lot of things we've got to figure out in order to sustain ourselves. Water, number one.
Yeah.
Right? The wealth gap. Arizona is number 2 in the country for the gap of wealth between the richest and the poorest people here. We've got to figure out how to enable every community to have the opportunity to build wealth for themselves.
Yeah.
We have to have housing that people can afford so that they can live somewhere and build businesses and wealth for themselves, right? Yeah. And then I just look at the opportunity that comes for businesses. There's businesses out there, you see it every day, that are still struggling with workforce.
Yeah.
How can we help entrepreneurs solve their problems that are also societal issues? Because what I tend to see more and more and more is more consumers that demand instantaneous things,
right,
that are making it harder for the small business to compete and survive. Like, I mean, if you can just go on your phone and order Chipotle and walk in, and if it's not ready, like raise a riot, like that's no way I want to live my life, right? So, and those workers are working so hard. So, how do we solve the problems of getting people to understand that we're a community and we all have to contribute to the betterment of it.
Yeah.
And it's not just a take place. So those are the things that raise up in my mind as things that we've got to figure out in order to sustain Arizona.
Is there any truth or any wisdom in the fact that Arizona is very spread out? So sometimes it can make it very difficult. Like, say you're out on the outskirts of Surprise, you're opening up a new place, and you can't get the labor because you're not in a mega city like Phoenix.
Yeah, well, there's a lot there. The layout of our county is very unique compared to other places, right? A lot of other places may be very walkable. So from there, you get into a lot of zoning issues and challenges and opportunities. Like, how can we zone our cities and our counties in ways that make it more accessible for people to seek out and start businesses, but also for people to reach them. And then from that perspective, you take an even bigger, deeper dive and look into workforce, right? Not only providing good resources and opportunities for the workforce that's here, but how do we solve workforce issues through immigration reform so that our farms can farm, right? And all of our businesses can hire the people they want to hire, right?
Yeah.
And people can work for the people they want to work for and build life for their families, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these things are what we're looking at all the time and trying to figure out solutions for them.
Sounds pretty sensible to me. Yeah. Wow. All right. Let's talk a little bit about you and your day. What is your day like? You're busy. You wear so many hats. Obviously, you have a great team. There's 50-something people now that you work with, and I'm sure a lot of that's alleviated a lot of the stresses that you had before, kind of running, maybe 7 hats that you may not have to run now. But what does your day look like? Do you wake up and You
don't want to know, man. No, it's okay.
I do.
We're usually up early. Got dogs, got the chickens. We have a farm.
Yeah, it's the best.
So we've got 7 chickens now.
7 chickens?
Yeah, we're on 2
You didn't bring me any eggs?
I didn't bring any eggs. I should have totally brought eggs. We've got 3 tortoises, fish, that kind of stuff at home. So it's like...
Wait, so your wife doesn't work at the zoo anymore? She just lives at home and has her own
she
zoo?
works at the aquarium now.
Oh, she's at the aquarium?
So she went from zookeeper to aquarist.
Wow.
But she knows all the things, and then I fill in the back. And
that's how you met, was at the zoo, right?
We did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've been together ever since.
Yeah, about 13 years ago.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So you did. So you handle the roost, and then.
So I just call it working the farm.
Yeah.
And it's not really a farm, but it's a small bit of what a farm might be like, I guess. We have our house in Tempe. I take care of everything, and every day is a new adventure. You know, I wake up buzzing every day. I'm just
cool.
What do I got to do? And I just boom, boom, boom. I got a list. I was telling my team the other day. Everybody just needs to organize themselves the way they organize and get energized the way you need to get energized. So the way I do it is I have a Google Sheet, and personal or professional work, whatever it is, things I got to do, I just throw on the sheet. And then when I'm done with it, I hide it. And so I've literally got, I think I've been doing this like 4 years.
That's crazy.
And I've got 7,000 hidden lines on a Google Sheet that
Good for you.
keep expanding. So I don't know what it is, but that's the way I operate. Yeah. So every day I'm just boom, 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 things I got to do, people I got to help, people I got to call, whatever helps me move through the day and get things done. Yeah.
And then the end of your day, are you able to chill a little bit and just kind of enjoy?
So, I mean, like I said, we got our place in Tempe. We walk the dogs around the neighborhood. And
it's the best.
Yeah, right by Kiwanis Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
It's lovely.
Awesome. All right, I got a few rapid fire questions for you. These are very important.
Let's do it.
Okay. Queen or the Rolling Stones?
Oh, Queen.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
I always tell people and I'll ask you this question first.
Yeah.
You go back in time to one event. Mm-hmm. You can't change anything, but you can just be there.
Wow. I'm gonna have to go with Woodstock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would go with Queen performing at Live Aid.
At Live Aid,
in 1986.
That's a close second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's a good question. Fall Fest shirt or Devour shirt?
I like the Fall Fest shirts. Those are fun.
I kind of like that one too. Yeah. Those are cool. Is 6 a.m. workout or 5 p.m. workout?
5 p.m.
Yeah, afternoon workouter.
Yeah, it's got to be cool though. It's really hard
when it's hot out.
So that's the thing. It's hard to answer because you just got to adjust.
Right, that's exactly it. Got to pivot. Hike or bike?
Man.
Well, there's no wrong answer.
I know. I don't know if I could pick. One time I did ride my bike from Tempe to Camelback Mountain, hiked up and came back. I think that's the biggest workout I've ever done. So if I could pick both, I'd do both.
Fair enough. Tacos or chocolate cake?
Tacos. For sure. This is Arizona.
What kind of question is that?
This is Arizona.
Have you ever encountered a wild bear?
Yes.
No shit.
Yes. 3.
3?
Yeah. Babies. Kid you not. I grew up, my family's had cabins in Heber my whole life.
Yeah.
Drive up through Payson up to 260.
Yeah.
You go to Payson.
Just bought a place in Show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So my whole life been going there. All I've ever seen is just, birds and deer.
Yeah.
So boring. I take my wife up there for the first time ever for my grandpa's 90th birthday several years ago. I was just like, don't get excited. There's nothing really up here. Like maybe we'll see a deer,
right.
We're on our way home and there are 3 baby bears on the side of the road.
Oh my!
I about flipped my car over. No, we did a U-turn, turned around. We didn't know where the mom was. We were actually kind of scared because if they get separated from their mom, it's like not good news.
No.
But we think that they just got lost for a second. They came up, they were at the side of the road. They ran back into the woods. But we got like a couple of like faded pictures of them.
Okay, so it wasn't those little wood statues that you drive by. They were real bears.
They were real. I've got witnesses. Yeah.
Wow, what a good question. I had no idea that would go that route. Candy corns or Jolly Ranchers?
I don't like sweets.
Oh,
either.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like sweets.
Have you had either or?
Yeah. I mean, my birthday's on Halloween, so I ate a lot of candy as a kid.
That right there is a talent not to like sweets. Trust me, I had to give that shit up. Northern Arizona or Southern Arizona? I know it's a dick question, but you got to answer it. He's sweating, people.
I literally can't pick.
Okay.
I literally can't
Fair
choose.
enough. You're not on trial.
That's like...
I know, it's tough.
Apples and oranges.
Apples and oranges.
I can't even compare them.
Fair enough. Okay. Where can people learn about Local First? What is the process if they want to become a member, both as an individual and as a business?
Totally, yeah. Just find us where you are. If you're on Instagram, look us up on Instagram.
Cool.
Message us. I always encourage entrepreneurs. You don't have to go outside your box to get in touch with us. So send us a message on Facebook. Send us on Instagram. Email us. localfirstaz.com. Type in on Google local business support. We'll pop up right there.
Perfect.
Guaranteed. And we're happy to get in touch with you. Anybody on our team can route you to the right person. So whether you're a restaurant or you just have an idea or you're in Tucson, we've got people on the ground all over the state, and we're here to help.
Well, folks, you have heard it first. My friend Thomas will be running for governor soon. He's the man of Arizona. No, I've appreciated having you on. Thank you so much.
It was a ton of
fun. It's important to keep getting the word out there about localism. I'm a native Arizonan myself, and I love it here. And everything that you guys do. And ever since I knew Kimber was doing this, many moons ago, I've just always been an advocate and so supportive of it because I love my local community.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please, I'll leave all the info in the show notes. Please subscribe, give us a 5-star. Please share. Go be local. Go buy something, local, and have fun with it. And the podcast is sponsored by a local company, my company, called Barr and Restaurant Insurance. That's kind of a joke, but not really. I am paying for this. So until next time, peace out.